Moana 2 is not just a sequel, it is a complete evolution of the original film. When Disney released the first Moana in 2016, it gave us a perfect, self-contained story about a teenager finding her identity. But the sequel completely shifts the formula. The stakes are higher, the crew is bigger, the music sounds totally different, and the mythology goes much deeper. Today, we are breaking down everything that changed from Moana 1 to Moana 2. If you thought the sequel was just a rehash of the first movie, think again. Let us dive into the ocean and break down the massive differences between the two films. Number 1. The biggest change in the sequel starts right at the top with Moana herself. In the first movie, Moana's entire arc is about self-discovery. She is torn between her duty to her island and her personal desire to explore the ocean. Her journey is deeply internal, and she has to prove to herself that she is a true wayfinder. But in Moana 2, that internal conflict is completely gone. She already knows who she is. The change here is that she has transitioned from a teenager seeking her identity to a young adult bearing the heavy weight of leadership. She is now the chief of Motunui. Her motivation shifts from wanting to explore to needing to save her people. This changes the entire tone of her character. She is not rebellious anymore, she is authoritative. She is not discovering the ocean, she is commanding it. Number 2. Let us talk about the antagonists, because this is a massive shift in how the conflict is handled. In the first film, the villain is Te Kā. But as we learn, Te Kā is not truly evil. She is a victim.
It's not who you are.
She is the goddess of fire who is corrupted and enraged because her heart was stolen. The conflict in the first movie is about healing, empathy, and restoring balance to nature. Moana 2 completely flips this dynamic. The new antagonist is Nalo, the god of storms. Nalo is not a corrupted victim. He is driven by pure hubris and ego. He curses the ocean and traps the wayfinders because he believes humans are too arrogant and do not respect the gods. This changes the nature of the conflict entirely. In Moana 1, the solution is returning what was stolen. In Moana 2, the solution requires Moana to literally outsmart and outsail a god who actively wants to destroy her. Number 3. Perhaps the most noticeable change for the audience is the music. The original Moana featured the legendary trio of Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Fawai, and Mark Mancina. Their soundtrack was deeply rooted in Broadway storytelling and traditional Polynesian rhythms. Songs like You're Welcome and Shiny were theatrical, character-driven showstoppers. For Moana 2, Disney brought in the Grammy-winning duo Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear. The musical style shifts dramatically.
Finally, we're back to who we're meant to be.
Instead of Broadway Showtunes, the sequel leans heavily into modern pop, anthemic choruses, and even rap. Songs feel like modern pop hits designed for radio play and high-energy momentum, rather than traditional musical theater numbers. This change reflects Moana's new status. She is not just singing to herself on an island anymore, she is leading a crew, and the music reflects that epic, modern scale. Number 4. Maui is back, but he is fundamentally different. In the first movie, Maui is defined by his massive ego and his magical fishhook. He is arrogant, selfish, and entirely dependent on his weapon. When he loses his hook, he loses his confidence and his powers. In Moana 2, Maui's arc is about what happens when that ego is stripped away. He is no longer the greatest of all time in his own mind. He has been humbled by his time trapped. The biggest change is his dynamic with Moana. They are no longer a reluctant mentor and an annoying kid, they are genuine partners and equals. Furthermore, the movie explores Maui's raw demigod powers without relying solely on the hook. It makes Maui a much more layered, vulnerable, and ultimately more likable character in the sequel. Number 5. In the original film, Moana's crew consisted entirely of herself, a rooster, and a pig. The isolation was a huge part of the first movie's atmosphere. It was just her and the vast, terrifying ocean, which made her journey feel incredibly lonely and dangerous. Moana 2 completely changes the dynamic by giving her a full, specialized crew. We have Lotto, the expert blacksmith, Moni, the enthusiastic superfan, and Kayleigh, the nervous navigator. This changes the pacing of the movie entirely. Instead of long stretches of internal monologue, we now have group dynamics, banter, and conflicting personalities. It shifts the genre slightly from a solitary survival story to a classic crew adventure movie. It makes the world feel much more alive and gives Moana people to lead, reinforcing her role as chief. We are going to dive into the massive Disney crossovers in just a second, but if you are loving these hidden details, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a breakdown. Number 6. The first movie introduced us to the concept of wayfinding, but it kept the scope relatively small, mostly focused on Motunui and the immediate surrounding ocean. Moana 2 expands the lore exponentially. We are not just looking at one island anymore, we are looking at the entire ancient network of Polynesian navigation. The movie dives deep into the history of the ancestors, why they stopped voyaging, and the ancient magic that connects the islands. It introduces new mythical creatures, like the bat-like guardians of the underworld, and expands the rules of how the ocean and the gods interact. It feels less like a standalone fairy tale and more like a deep dive into a massive, living mythology. Number 7. Visually, both movies are masterpieces, but the scale in Moana 2 is on another level. In 2016, the water simulation in Moana was groundbreaking. It was a technical marvel that won awards. 8 years later, the animation technology has evolved massively. Moana 2 does not just give us beautiful water, it gives us terrifying, massive storms, complex new island biomes, and incredibly detailed creature animation. The sheer scale of the open ocean in the sequel makes the first movie look like a calm lake. The lighting, the particle effects during the magical sequences, and the sheer number of characters and creatures on screen at once push the boundaries of what Disney animation can do. Number 8. The role of the ocean itself has changed. In the first movie, the ocean is practically a character. It is playful, it chooses Moana, it hands her the heart of Te Fiti, and it actively helps her throughout her journey. It feels like a benevolent guardian. In Moana 2, the ocean is cursed and chaotic. Because of Nalo's interference, the water is no longer a safe, guiding friend. It is a dangerous, unpredictable force that Moana has to fight against and navigate through. This strips away the safety net Moana had in the first film, forcing her to rely on her own skills, her crew, and ancient wayfinding knowledge rather than just waiting for the water to save her. Number 9. The family dynamics have also evolved significantly. In the first movie, Moana's father, Chief Tui, is overprotective because he is terrified of the ocean due to a past trauma. The climax of their arc is him finally letting her go and accepting her choice. In the sequel, that dynamic is flipped. Moana is now the one making the hard, dangerous choices for the survival of her people, and her parents are the ones who have to trust her leadership. We see the parents stepping into supportive advisory roles, showing that the family has matured together. The burden of leadership has officially passed to the next generation. Number 10. Finally, let us look at how the endings change the trajectory of the franchise. Moana 1 ends with a perfect closed loop. Moana saves her island, Maui flies off, and the ocean is balanced. It was a perfect standalone story that wrapped up neatly. Moana 2 ends with an open horizon. By reconnecting the islands and defeating the storm god, Moana does not just save her home, she restores an entire civilization. The ending is not about going back to the way things were. It is about stepping into a brand new era of exploration. This shift from a closed ending to an open, expansive ending perfectly sets up the future of the franchise. It tells us that Moana's journey is far from over, and the world is now much bigger than just Motunui. And those are the massive changes that separate Moana 2 from the original film. The shift from a solo journey to a massive crew adventure and from theatrical musical numbers to modern pop anthems definitely changes the flavor of the franchise. What do you think? Did Moana 2 successfully evolve the story, or do you prefer the intimate vibe of the first film? Let me know in the comments below which movie is your favorite and what change surprised you the most. If you loved this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next voyage.